Hi, I'm Jennifer Hollick with Ancestral Souls and the World War II Research and Writing Center. It's the 23rd of March, 2020, and I am on my second week of lockdown at home in the state of Illinois. I came back from Europe a little over a week ago. Last minute, you got to come home, my kids said, so I did. And it's a good thing I did. And my husband is still doing okay over there. And I fully anticipate I will be able to see him before the end of the year, probably sooner than I think. So I'm listening to what the universe is saying and paying attention. But today I want to talk to you a little bit about military research because a lot of people are wondering, what can I do for World War I, World War II, Korea, or Vietnam if the archives and the libraries and all the repositories around the world that hold military records, and they're not just at the National Archives, they're everywhere. What do I do if I can't access those? Now, there are some people who definitely need those archives. That's the only place you're going to find that information. And for those people, you'll just have to wait. However, I would encourage you to do what I'm going to talk about in just a moment, because maybe it will open up some other avenues for you that you hadn't seen before. We can only receive, see, hear what we are able to in that moment. And as we continue to change or we learn something new, we get a new document, we hear another story, it changes our perception and we're open to receiving more. So what I would invite you to do, and you can bring your kids into this would be a great activity for them. Even if they're very young, you can teach them, in age appropriate words and give them a crayon and help them draw even a picture of what you're trying to map out yourself. But I invite you to create a timeline of service. Now, you can look at my other YouTube videos. You can look in my webinars that I teach on World War II education. You can look at the online classes I've taught also on World War II education. Some of the articles on my website, either researchaveteran.com or World War II Research and Writing Center.com, where I talk about how to do this. And it's basically a timeline of noting all of the events that happened for your service member. Kids can get involved because as you're going through your notes, and even if you've already created a timeline in the past, it's a good idea to revisit it or set it aside and create a completely new one. Pretend you didn't do it. Pull out your military records, paper or digital, and start over. And you can do this while you're having a conversation with your kids at the table. Give them some crayons, coloring books, paper. Tell them about who you're working on. Tell them what you're finding. Show them how to create a timeline. This is valuable for them to learn. Ask them what they think of the stories that you're telling them, or show them some of the documents, especially if you've got pictures, and let them engage with you. They might help you open up to something you didn't realize was sitting right there on the document in front of you. So I think it's very important to continue doing. Now, one of the people that I am working on is my Grandpa Joe. He was in the Naval Armed Guard during World War II. Now, I have quite a lot of digital files for him, and I've got a big archival box of lots of paper documents. Now, I've been researching my genealogy for more than 20 years, and back in the day, a lot of the papers were on paper. You couldn't get them on digital media. So a lot of us have paper and digital. So it's a good idea to review both of those things. I still need things that I can only get at the archives, and I'm okay to wait for that because his story has been one that I kind of put on the back burner for a long time because I didn't want to look at it. And part of the reason I didn't want to look at it is because I knew it would bring up a lot of emotion in me, like anger, sadness, grief, loss. And I'm aware of things that my family members, both dead and alive, are still dealing with over his military service and his life that are hard. And I didn't want to go there. But now I'm ready. And he's actually been guiding me. In fact, I put a blog post up about an area of his service last fall on my website. And I got a comment this morning about it and a person to contact to ask some questions. So that was kind of a big nudge from him saying, okay, you have all this time at home right now, finish up the military client projects you're working on and sit with my story and start writing it. And he's channeled through me in several of my journal entries saying, it's not what you think. And there's no reason to be afraid of it. And you need to keep digging because there's more to what happened. And as I'm becoming more aware of what's happening with our reality right now, I'm beginning to see another layer of World War I and World War II in particular that we may never be able to prove, but we know happened. Things that your family told you, or things that you're aware of based on certain things that were said or unsaid that probably happened, but there's no paper trail. So we still have to write about that. And I know a lot of genealogists frown on putting things in there from our awareness, but you can say, I am aware of this, or I channeled that into my journal or into my notes or my story as I was writing, and fully cite it as that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because when we tap into our ancestors, they're going to give us clues. They're going to help with that extra piece of paper that we need that has some of the answers on it. And genealogists tend to call this genealogical serendipity, and many of them don't go much farther than that because there's such a taboo in the community on talking about these things. But yet you can see a lot of people dancing around it right now. They're wondering, how far can I go with the words that I'm using to talk about this connection I have? So people are starting to come out a little bit more around this. And I think that's good, because the more we look at our genealogy or our military history, we have an opportunity to do more than record names, dates, and places and a few stories. We have an opportunity to look at the patterns, especially the destructive ones, and start to change them and say, it stops here, which is only going to create something better in our reality. So while you're sitting at home, or if you're watching this at some point in the future, I encourage you again to take your military records and pull your genealogy records out too, because a lot of them will have clues to the military service, both before service and what happened to the people afterward. Create your timeline. Go look at the resources in my webinars, online classes, the YouTube videos that are up, my website articles, lots of ways for you to look at this, lots of things for you to pull, even though the archives and libraries are closed. And I would love to hear what you discover by redoing this activity. Again, even if you've already done it, I invite you to start over and see what you see now that you know all of these things that you know and all of these records that you have, and share what it is that you're discovering. I have a military education research group on Facebook. I will post my Linktree link with this video, so wherever you're watching it, you can join the Facebook group. We're doing a free Zoom meeting where group members can jump on and everybody's live, and we have conversations once a week. We did the first one last week and it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot, shared a lot of resources, so we're doing it again this Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time on the 26th of March. The link for that is in the Facebook group. If you're interested in the genealogy, ancestral lineage healing side of things, I have a Facebook group for that. You can also check the Linktree link that I'm putting with this video. Our next Zoom meeting live in there will be this Friday at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and we'll be doing those weekly. If you need some help moving forward in your research, if you need some research plans put together, you need somebody to review what's been done and say, okay, have you looked at this, this, and this? And here are like 5 or 10 suggestions on where to go from here when the world reopens. I am taking clients and I'll be offering a discounted rate to help you put those research plans together. So please reach out to me, because there's still a lot you can do even with the archives being closed. I look forward to hearing what you're discovering. Please consider joining the groups and sharing there, and joining us on our Zoom Live. Have a great day.